All right, let's talk about that painful mystery that so many new car owners face. Why in the world do those expensive premium leather seats start to wrinkle and sag almost right away? This isn't just about how it looks, it's about your money. So stick with me, and I promise you'll learn how to spot a total ripoff before you even think about signing those papers. Oh, you know that feeling? The smell of a new car, that perfectly smooth leather, you probably paid extra for it. But then, just a few months later, the wrinkles show up. The seat starts to look a little sad. And you can't help but wonder, did I get played? It is a super frustrating moment, but the story behind those wrinkles is actually a lot more interesting than just good versus bad leather. Okay, here's our battle plan for today. First, we're going to dissect what your car seat is actually made of. Then, I'll teach you how to spot the difference between normal wear and a total quality failure. And finally, we're going to arm you with what I'm calling the dealership battle manual, so you are ready for your next car purchase. Let's dive in. So, to figure out why your seat feels like it's betraying you, we first have to understand what it even is. You see, it's not just a single piece of leather, it's a whole system, and every single layer plays a part in why it ends up wrinkling. The easiest way to think about your seat is like a 1,000-layer cake. You've got the leather on top as the icing, a thick foam filling in the middle, and a solid steel frame at the bottom. And every single time you sit down, your weight squishes that foam and stretches the leather. You do that a few hundred times, and that whole system starts to show the strain.
There's a fancy engineering term for this, residual deformation. It sounds complicated, but it's actually really simple. Think about a brand new rubber band. You stretch it, and it snaps right back, right? But if you stretch it 1,000 times, or just leave it stretched out for a week, it gets tired. It loses that snap. That is exactly what's happening to the materials in your car seat.
And now we get to maybe the most important point of this whole thing. Not all wrinkles are bad. In fact, some wrinkles are a good sign. It's proof you've got real leather. The trick is learning to tell the difference between natural aging and a cheap product that's just, well, failing on you. So let's play detective for a second. Over here on the left, we have good wrinkles. We're talking fine lines, but no cracking. The leather still feels soft, and they show up gradually, right in the places you use the most, like the side bolster you slide over every time you get in. That's just the leather settling in, getting some character. But over on the right, these are the bad wrinkles. These are the red flags. You're seeing cracks, you're seeing peeling skin. The seat starts to look like a sagging hammock. And if it happens fast, like in the first 3 months, that's not wear and tear. That's a straight-up quality problem. Which brings us to the big question, right? Why can you sit in a 10-year-old luxury car and the seats still look fantastic, but your 1-year-old car's seats look totally worn out? Well, it's not magic. It's all about better materials and, frankly, smarter engineering. Let's pull back the curtain for a second. The real difference between a seat that ages gracefully and one that just gives up the ghost isn't some secret formula. It's right there in the spec sheet, if you know what to look for. And here it is. This is where the truth comes out. A standard car might use thinner leather, sure, but the real story, the big secret, is the foam underneath. It's often so low density it can start to collapse in just 6 months. Now look at the luxury car specs. Thicker Napa leather, foam that's nearly twice as dense, and the real secret weapon? Pre-stretching. They basically pre-age the leather so it holds its shape from day one. Cheaper seats? They skip this entirely, meaning the leather breaks in on your time and your dime. And let's talk about the money, because this is the real shocker. You might pay, a couple $1,000 for that premium leather package, but the actual cost of those materials to the car company, get this, it could be as low as 1,000 yuan, which is about 140 US dollars, for the whole set. Now compare that to a true luxury car. The material cost alone can be 8,000 yuan. That's over 1,100 US dollars. That is a massive, massive difference. So you see, you're not just paying for the brand name, you are paying for fundamentally better, more durable materials that are actually built to last. Okay, now that you know the science behind it all, let's turn that knowledge into a weapon. It's time to arm yourself against the common sales pitches you can see right through all that showroom spin. This is a classic. The salesperson has you sit down and they say, "Feel how soft that is? That's luxury." And it makes sense, doesn't it? We've all been taught that soft equals comfortable, which equals premium. But it's dead wrong. In fact, that should be a massive red flag for you. And here's why. That super soft feeling usually comes from cheap, low-density foam, and that foam collapses way faster, which lets the leather on top get loose and saggy. Even worse, it offers terrible support, which is exactly what causes that awful back pain on long road trips. See, true luxury isn't about being plush like a marshmallow. It's about the perfect balance of comfort and long-term support. Oh boy, the imported line. It's designed to make you think of some fine Italian craftsman working in a workshop. But here's the thing. The word imported on its own means absolutely nothing. It is a classic sales misdirection.
So, the next time you hear that line, here are your 3 killer questions. 1. Is this top grain or corrected grain leather? 2. What's the foam density? Is it above 50 kilograms per cubic meter? And for the final blow, number 3, did the leather undergo any pre-stretching treatment? Trust me, their silence will tell you everything you need to know.
All right, let's move from questions to action. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. Here is a simple 3-step physical test you can do right there in the showroom to feel the quality for yourself. First up, the compression test. Take your palm and press down hard, really hard, into the seat cushion for 5 seconds. Now let go. If that indent pops back in under 3 seconds, the foam has good rebound. It passes. Next, the scratch test. Find a hidden spot, maybe on the side of the seat, and give it a light scratch with your fingernail. If it leaves a lasting white mark, that means it's covered in a thick, cheap plastic coating. And finally, the stitch count. Look at any seam and count the number of stitches over a 4-inch or 10-centimeter section. If you see fewer than 8, you know for a fact they were cutting corners on the construction. Wow, we've covered a lot. So, let's boil it all down to the 3 simple truths you absolutely need to remember. This is the stuff that will change how you look at car interiors forever. First, some wrinkles are not the enemy. They're actually the signature of real leather. If a surface stays perfectly smooth forever, it's probably plastic. Second, the foam is the unsung hero of the seat. A seat is only as good as its foundation. If that foam gives out, the best leather in the world doesn't stand a chance. And third, the real enemy isn't just wrinkles. It's wrinkles combined with cracking, peeling, and sagging. That is the sign of a quality failure. So, the next time you're standing in a showroom, I want you to remember this mantra. Good leather wrinkles, but bad leather cracks. Good foam supports, but bad foam collapses. Real quality is found in the details, not just in the price tag. The real question isn't whether your seats will get a few character lines, but whether they were built to last or designed to fail. And now, you know exactly how to tell the difference.